presentation of Fox Sports.
We are sports. We are Sun.
Tonight at Tropicana Field, the Rays' 7-game homestand continues fresh off a series victory over the White Sox. Tonight, the Rays will open a 4-game series against the Oakland Athletics. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to an evening of Rays baseball with Brian Anderson, Dwayne Stats. Good to have you aboard. We'll hear from Alex Cordry in just a few moments. Well, the Rays were winners last night, winning the series from the White Sox. However, when it comes to the disabled list and the injury to Kevin Kiermaier, things didn't turn out nearly as well as we had hoped at the end of the night last night.
No, absolutely an unfortunate injury, first and foremost for Kevin, and then obviously how it's going to affect this team. And, let's take you back. It was a 5th inning, and Kevin Kiermaier is going to roll over a ground ball here to Jose Abreu down at first base, and now it's going to be a race, and here it goes. Off the bat, he comes down there trying to get to the bag before Abreu and also avoid a collision, and you can see him land awkwardly. This next angle, watch the right hip. That jerk right there, and you thought to yourself, that's not, well, it didn't look good. It didn't look good, and at the end of the day, it comes back this afternoon. It was not good at all. Out with a fractured hip, and you can see what he means to this team with and without him. Look at the record, and you think, well, look at the team ERA was much worse, but look what he does also for the pitching staff with his defense. So offensively and defensively, Kevin Kiermaier brings it. The team has not been the same without him, but 2 things, Dwayne. I think, number one, this team's better equipped to handle this because of the much improved depth that they have within the system. And number 2, they've shown to be a resilient group. They've battled all season long against some adversity, and so this is a resilient group. They're going to have to be able to soften this blow. And for more on that, let's go down to Alex Cordry.
Yeah, that's right, BA. Talking to a lot of the players in the clubhouse, they'll tell you they know you can't just replace Kevin Kiermaier, but there's still a lot of baseball left to play, so they're going to have to find ways to overcome his injury, and they're confident they'll be able to over the next 6 to 8 weeks.
The news, it hurts, but like I said, at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and be negative about it. Now it's about getting back on the field and doing whatever it takes.
We got to try and move forward. We got to try and find somebody to fill that spot. And the season's not over. We feel like we have a team that's capable of winning and capable of making a deep postseason run. And obviously, losing him is a big part of defensively and offensively what we've been doing. But got to try to not dwell on it too long. I can promise you it sucks worse for him than it does for us.
As Evan Longoria pointed out, it's next man up. The Rays have turned to Malik Smith. He's been called up from AAA Durham. Smith will be the Rays' primary center fielder for the next 2 months. Rays and A's getting this 4-game series going as we're coming up when we return on Fox Sports Sun.
Lights On is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. By Frontier Communications. Get Fios TV, internet, and voice. By Frontier today. By Jeep. Get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. Rays and the A's coming up right around the corner. First pitch next. We are set to play baseball tonight. The Rays entertaining the Oakland Athletics with the right-hander Alex Cobb headed to the mound to open this 4-game series. First time the Rays have seen the A's this year in their only trip into Tropicana Field. Doubleheader tomorrow and the wrap-up game on Sunday. And the Rays will hit the road immediately. Take a look at the starting lineup for Oakland, presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Rajai Davis is going to lead it off in center, followed by Matt Joyce, and then Jed Lowry. Chris Davis, the cleanup hitter, the DH. Yonder Alonso is at first. Ryan Healy at third. Stephen Voigt will catch at seventh in front of the shortstop Chad Pinder. Jacob Brugman will hit ninth and play left field. All against Alex Cobb.
Out there for the 13th time this season. Record 4-5, ERA 4.52. Good career numbers against the Oakland A's in 7 starts, 3-2 with a 2.44 earned run average.
Well, here is Davis. Rajai Davis hitting .216 and going after the first pitch of this game, a fastball, and he fouls it for a strike. So we're underway right on time at 10 minutes past the hour of 7. The veteran Davis, 36 years old. And a fly ball into short left center, and it's tracked and caught by Rasmus. Toby Rasmus takes care of that one away.
Well, let's take a look at that Rays defense, brought to you by Gold and Diamond Source. And of course, left to right in the outfield, you do have Colby Rasmus, and then Malik Smith and Steven Souza Jr. across the infield, third to first. Longoria, Beckham, Robertson, and Morrison with Jesus Sucre behind the plate.
Malik Smith in center field. Matt Joyce. Popped up foul and out of play. Matt Joyce, the former Ray, signed by Oakland to a 2-year deal.
Well, not much in the area of batting average. That really holds true here for the entire Oakland A's ball club, but does have that power potential each and every time he steps in the box.
Upstairs, and spent last year in the National League with the Pittsburgh Pirates. 242 there with 13 home runs. It's a 2-1 count. Melvin, the skipper for the Oakland Ball Club, right there in his 7th season already. 2-2.
Well, the one thing that we're going to see, Dwayne, during the course of this series, and there's going to be 4 games bunched up what's going to feel like a couple of days, is this team is extremely, offensively, extremely one-dimensional. I mean, they'll pop some home runs. There's no doubt about it. They've got some guys in their lineup that can hurt you with the long ball. But outside of that, really struggle to manufacture runs.
Yeah, they hit home runs, strike out a lot, and they're last in the league in batting average. Matt Joyce is out on strikes. 2 up and 2 down. Cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light, and Oakland coming in 26 and 33. And you can see the offensive side of things. That slugging percentage 5th, but everything else that translates into 4th in home runs, but on base, average, runs per game. It's been a struggle for them offensively.
Well, and you know what else that list did not show, and it goes more into the manufacturing of runs. They have the worst batting average in Major League Baseball with runners in scoring position, and on top of that have created the 2nd fewest opportunities with runners in scoring position. So not only do they not get the job done, they don't even get many opportunities to begin with. So it's been a struggle, no doubt about it.
A strike on the inside part of the plate. 1-1 to count to Jed Lowry.
Lineups that are so one-dimensional with different power guys sprinkled throughout. Changing speeds is the best way to attack lineups like that. Never allow them to get in rhythm.
Breaking ball is fouled back. 1-2. Well, Lowry is one guy in this lineup hitting .290 coming in and well over 300 against right-handed pitching. And in his head-to-head matchups with Cobb, he is 6 of 13. One-two pitch. Upstairs with the fastball. 2-2 now. It's been a challenge for Lowry to stay healthy. Bounce it back. Still at 2-2. Lowry has had some foot problems, and he's hoping they're all behind him. Using the lower part of his body now and hitting as opposed to just the upper half. And well, you limit it to that. That's a major limitation. Full count.
You talk about everything from the legs up, but at the very end of those legs are your feet. And if you're having feet and foot issues, you know that's your base. That's where everything starts. Transfers all the way up through. That's why guys work on their core so much. You hear about all that core work, strong core, and then it translates to the torque and the arms.
High popper left side. Longoria making the call. Settling under it. 1-2-3 in the first. Go the Oakland A's. Malik Smith will be the leadoff man for the Rays. tonight, no score. Let's take a look at this lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. Malik Smith first up from AAA to lead it off, followed by Corey Dickerson and Evan Longoria. Logan Morrison, Steven Souza Jr. and Kobe Rasmus, the heart of the lineup, followed by Tim Beckham, then Daniel Robertson and Jesus Sucre will do the catching in bat ninth.
Well, he'll be going up against right-hander Andrew Triggs, making his 12th start of the season. Even up record at 5-5, ERA 3.36, 61 2/3 innings of work. And as you can see right there, Dwayne, he's going to give the Rays a little bit different look here tonight.
Yeah, he'll drop down most of the time, as we just saw there. Missed with the first pitch to Smith.
With a little crossfire on top of it.
A little tapper foul, 1-1.
And he's another one of those starters working exclusively out of the stretch. Lower arm angle for a guy his size, crossfire action, and obviously tries to create more movement, more deception, keep the ball on the ground.
Up and away. It's 2-1.
These are the types of pitchers that the Rays will attack as if he was a knuckleballer. You want to see the ball up in the zone. That's when it flattens out. That's when you can do some damage.
2-2 now to Smith. Smith was hitting .311 at Durham. And a little bit of that one, a foul ball rolling to the backstop. Well, what the Rays hope this year and what they believe in the face of losing Kevin Kiermaier for what appears to be, they're saying 6 to 8 weeks. Who knows on either end of that, but somewhere in that neighborhood. They feel they're more prepared to compete this year than they were when they lost him last year. And frankly, that was a major loss in terms of covering ground in the outfield. And they're hoping the likes of Malik Smith gives them an answer to that. There's ball 3, and it's 3-2. They think overall their outfield and the defensive side, forget the home runs and the offense they're getting from the outfield, but the defensive side they feel is much better than it was last year.
Yeah, and don't forget, Peter Borges against some left-handers. He's going to see some time out there, and another guy with speed and defensive acumen. So they are better equipped. There is no doubt about it. You don't replace a Kevin Kiermaier. We all know that, but they do have some pieces that should make it a little bit easier to take, and hopefully they can ride that out until he comes back.
There is ball 4. Smith draws the walk. So the Rays with some speed aboard already at first base. Well, let's take a look at the roster moves. Not only is Kevin Kiermaier on the disabled list, but Ricky Weeks Jr. with a shoulder impingement. They say that's something that's been around for quite a while with him. They go to the DL. Matt Duffy transferred to the 60-day. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Malik Smith recalled from Durham. And Taylor Featherston coming over from the Phillies organization. He's been at Lehigh Valley, and he can play a number of positions.
Boy, how about the ripple effect? That one injury and how you try to cover it with all of those moves and trying to keep this team afloat. Keep your eye too on Malik Smith, because Andrew Triggs, 15 stolen base attempts already, 11 of them successful, and that is a huge lead out to the cut with that left foot, and they will be challenging Triggs. There's no doubt about it. That'll be part of the game plan.
Yeah, that's one of the concerns the A's have over Triggs. Giving up more stolen bases than any other starter in the American League. Strike to Dickerson.
Well, and that's why, that long at bat to Malik Smith, you'd like to see him just groove one, make him earn his way on, because what ends up happening, you're going to walk Malik Smith. You just gave him a double anyway, in theory, and he'll be going here before too long.
And it moved. And boy, that was close. He got to the back side of the bag. Lance Diaz on the call over there.
That may have been the one that he was going on because he was a little bit slow to get back. Yes, he was. He was heading that way. And boy, some quick twitch to get back in there. And then watch him pick up the right arm. Take that away, get in there with the left. And of course, the tag right to the chin. Get that right arm out of the way. He just kind of deadened it.
Strike the count to Dickerson. Up the other way, and that ball will fall foul down near the bullpen mound. 2 strikes.
Well, let's take a look at the Oakland defense, brought to you by Golden Diamond Source. And in the outfield, left to right, we have Jacob Brugman, Rajai Davis, and Matt Joyce. And across the infield, third to first, Ryan Healy, Chad Pinder, Jed Lowry, and Yonder Alonso with Stephen Vogt back behind the plate.
A little bit of that one, and Dickerson stays alive on the foul ball. Everything away from him. Dickerson third in the league in hitting at .335. Tops in hits, tops in multi-hit games, tops in total bases. Pitch out, nothing doing. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Stephen Vogt, the former Ray, behind the plate. High fly ball back into center. Davis is in line to make the catch, and Smith heads back to first. One away. Now, Evan Longoria.
Well, I'll tell you what, you'd like to see here in the first couple of pitches to Evan, Malik Smith try to get into scoring position. A high time for him to go. I think he was going on that pickoff attempt that he was able to get back in. Of course, then they pitched out. They're well aware that he would like to go, but it's come high time to try to get him moving.
Way wide. Ball, no strikes.
We'd like to use the cut here at Tropicana Field as a good guide as to what a big lead looks like. And Malik Smith, when that left foot gets out to the cut, that's a huge lead. Anything past that, and he's just a hair past the cut, that's a good sized lead.
And back to first. Again to the outfield side of the bag.
Especially with a right-handed first baseman, you want to force him to make the longest distance to be able to make that tag. Easier for a lefty to let the ball travel.
There he goes. Pitches a strike. The throw is high. And Malik Smith has stolen second base. Well, that's a big part of his game. Picks up his 4th steal with the Rays. Now he's in scoring position.
Nothing that Oakland could have done to get him. Too big of a lead, too good of a jump. Oh, you knew it was coming, just a matter of when, and he did get it done here a couple of pitches in, and now Evans got a chance to drive him in.
Another foul right there, 2-1. Breaking ball. Wave and a miss. So Longoria out on strikes, came back with a breaking ball.
Triggs was able to put that one into a very good spot. Up in the count, trying to get the hitter to expand his zone. Starts that ball in off the plate, breaks it all the way off the outside corner and right to the dirt.
Now, the Rays have seen him before, but not very much. You go up and down the lineup. Dickerson had one at bat against him, 0 for 1. Evan now 1 for 2 in his career against him. Morrison facing him for the first time. The Rays saw him briefly last year. Which is popped out of play. A foul ball, strike one.
You know, if you tuned into this game and you know, wasn't sure what time it was, you'd say, okay, 7th, 8th inning, they brought Triggs in to face a couple of righties to get out of a jam. That, you know, these types, you know, these mechanics here, not what you normally associate with the starting pitcher.
Yeah, they're more specialist matchup guys.
Yeah, this is Darren O'Day. Brad Brock probably give you more length than Triggs when you watch how he delivers the ball. A lot of deception and that arm angle. And you're thinking late inning, like you said, specialist guy.
He's been more effective against left-handed hitters than right-handed hitters. The sample size of this year, which is now, well, this is his 12th start.
Yeah. He's over 62 innings into the season, so it starts to become what you expect. Well, the one thing that we've seen here in the early going with the Rays left-handed hitters is he stays, for the most part, on the far edge of the plate, away from the lefties. So tries to get that fastball with a little arm side run to the outside corner, and then the majority of the time is trying to backdoor the breaking balls. So they're either off the plate away or just on the edge, and those are tough pitches to drive.
And there's one wide. It's 3-1. Yeah, and that's what they really count on when you talk about trying to backdoor that pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, you're trying to, you know, left-handed hitter, he's going to get a better view of your arm angle. You're stepping across your body and your arm is way out there, so they get a good look at it. But then all of a sudden, here comes the break, and it starts off the plate away, and he's just trying to just catch that outside corner.
Yeah, and one would guess that as much as anything accounts for those numbers against lefties. A 3-1 count for Logan Morrison. Here goes Smith, the third. He makes it in on the walk to Morrison. No, steal of third by Malik Smith. First and third for the Rays. And Steven Souza Jr. will be there. Well, this is part of Smith's game that is exciting. He's fast. He can cover ground in the outfield. And with a couple steals already here after the walk.
Yeah, he'll bring an exciting dynamic. You know, his ability to lay down bunt hits.
Well, you don't have to play station to station baseball or wait for a guy to hit a home run. He'll make something happen on the bases, which is a nice element to drop into the middle of an offense. Steven Souza Jr. fouls the pitch away. Strike one. Rays looking for Souza Jr. to get started again. He's won for his last 24 right now. 280 though in this situation, 2 outs and men in scoring position on the season. There goes Morrison. The pitch is popped up, foul, and out of play.
Well, if you don't think that the stolen base or putting guys in motion is part of the Rays game plan, when Logan Morrison is going to take off on you, and he will swipe an occasional bag, but first time he's over there at first base tonight and already challenging the A's on the base paths, then you understand this is something that they're going to try and do with just about everybody.
Over to first. He's back in there standing up. Rocco Baldelli keeping him up to date on all the information in regards to Triggs and how much time it takes him to unload the baseball to the plate. been blocked by Stephen Vogt.
Rocco Baldelli right now showing him his sundial.
Yeah, that's pretty extreme right there, that delivery.
Absolutely, absolutely right. Tell you what, how about a block by Stephen Vogt with the speed of Smith down at third? Yep. Pretty nice play, too.
There's a high fly ball. Back into left. Well hit and gone. Souza Jr. comes through here in the first with a 3-run home run. And the Rays take the lead. Souza's 11th home run of the year. And boy, after this recent stint, that one is extra special for Steven Souza Jr.
No doubt about it, but smart understanding. He's probably going to see the breaking ball to try to be put away with. And so you're trying to stay disciplined, see it up. It is, and he just goes out and gets it. It was a great take the previous pitch, waiting for it again, gets one that he can handle, and immediately gives the Rays a 3-run lead. And how about that? More first inning scoring.
Here's Colby Rasmus up here now, looking at a breaking ball low. '93 home runs for the Rays as a team. Rasmus fouls it back. Rasmus hit one last night in the 8th inning to give the Rays a 2-run advantage, eventually winning that game 7-5. Tonight it's Steven Souza Jr. putting the Rays out in front with a 3-run blast. 1-2. Upstairs, the fastball. 2-2.
Colby Rasmus with a pretty interesting look with his pants. I've not seen this before. Tied off right down there at the top of the back leg.
3-2. He's been pretty creative that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at it. That's old school.
Yeah.
Way old school. George Hendricks somewhere is smiling.
Yes, he is. Kind of miss George's smile.
I used to wear my jeans like that.
Really?
Peg your jeans?
Yeah.
Yeah, until my freshman year of college, and one of the upperclassmen on the volleyball team said, you should stop doing that. And you know what? It did explain a pretty lonely first month of school.
See, it would have only stopped you then, not now. And that's good. Hey, souvenir right there for that young man. Yeah, no reason to curtail that now.
No.
It's too late.
Yeah. Well, I gave it up for a time and things picked up. Yeah. But I'm my own man now.
3-2. Walked it into left center field. And Brugman is there to make the catch. So the Rays come up with a 3-run first. Steven Souza Jr. connecting for the 11th time this year. Hit it deep into the seats and a little beyond in left. 3-0. Rays on top at the end of 1. Out of the second, MLB.TV Premium is back and better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Steven Souza Jr. powering the Rays to a 3-run lead. Here's Chris Davis leading off. Speaking of power, there's a strike from Alex Cobb. 17 home runs for Davis. Hitting .227. Takes it too low. Well, he's right there in the middle of that home run battle in the American League, just one behind Aaron Judge of the Yankees.
So saw Morrison was on that list. Yonder Alonso. There's some power in this series, but as you can see, the way that Cobb is working Davis right here, talked about changing speeds, also flip sides of the plate. Starts them off away, comes in, right back out away. All you're trying to do is make these guys uncomfortable. Don't fall into patterns and give them one thing to look for.
2 balls, 2 strikes. That's one of the reasons it's so much fun. If you're going to come to the ballpark when Alex Cobb is pitching and you try to tune in on how he goes about working hitters, that's a big part of the fun you can have at the ballpark with him on the mound.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
just missed there. Thought he might have had a strike.
Yeah, he did. He went for it. You're trying to just catch that edge, and that's the ball that when it comes out of your hand, you're saying to yourself, if that's properly executed, he's done. I'm going to lock him up. 2-seamer. Just didn't come back quite far enough.
And the pitch inside. He's not happy about walking Chris Davis to start the inning.
No, and I'll tell you what, that's a gutsy pitch there, 3-2. You know, that's when you go with a pitch like that, you are absolutely convinced that you're going to get him looking, because a 3-2 fastball into a guy with that kind of power, you are assuming that he's not going to swing the bat. That's the only reason that you would throw that pitch, and that's another part of Alex's game that you like to see, his ability to read swings and to read a hitter's actions even when he takes a pitch.
Move to first. Davis is back in.
At the end of the day, the only problem is you've got to be able to put that pitch where you want it. If not, well, this is what happens. Davis down at first with nobody.
And Yonder Alonso having a good power year. That's one part of his game that he had hoped to step up, and he has done that this year for Oakland. He did go, and a nice block by Sucre. Strike 1.
Here, there's the breaking ball, Alonso, and then Sucre keeping that ball right in front.
It's a 2-for-1 shot right there.
It is.
You saw the attempt to check. He did not, and then a nice block by Sucre.
Money shot, Dwayne.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of crew we have. 1 strike count. Out of play. Nothing in 2. Souvenir. 0-2 count. And Alonso out on strikes.
How about this changeup here by Alex Cobb? We've been talking all year long about what he's done with the fastball and the curveball. That right there is the old split changeup. That kind of finish at the very end stays in the zone, and then it just disappears on the hitter.
And we've seen some of those in recent outings from him. It's starting maybe to come back to what it was. And if that's the case, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him pitch.
You have a hard time picking what you're going to go with because the fastball, the command of that pitch, and the curveball.
And speaking of, strike one.
The thing that you like about Alex too is he's been able to use the curveball 2 different ways, like that, get early in the count strikes, but he also has the put away curveball, the swing and miss that he can keep in the zone and then bury it at the end.
Keeping an eye on Chris Davis at first.
He's like, I have 17 17 home runs, not 17 stolen bases. Wrong guy.
Yeah, he has 1 stolen base.
That's exactly what he's saying to Logan Morrison.
Jan and Healy bounces it foul. 0-2. Healy, hey, he's one of your Oregon guys, University of Oregon.
Oregon, I'm Oregon State.
Oh,
guy.
you're Oregon State.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, they go head to head. But who would have thought?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Popper, short center. Alex Smith is right there. 2 gone.
You would think at the end of the day, with the resources that Oregon has, in relation to, obviously Phil Knight, Nike, that every program there they can build up to just about whatever they want. But Oregon State takes the cake in that in that matchup, even if they do produce a guy like Brian Healy.
Yeah. Well, here is Stephen Vogt. Hitting .221 with 3 home runs. Hit 14 last year for Oakland. Ball, no strikes. Vogt has represented the Oakland A's in the All-Star game the last couple years. Two and 0. Leadoff walk. Davis still at first. There with 2 gone. A strikeout and a fly ball to center. Vogt pops it into short center. Smith coming in. Now out. Beckham, and now here comes Rasmus. Well, a little convention out there. Kobe Rasmus in shallow center came over from left. 3-0 Rays.
It's the 12th Pride Night in club history as the Rays continue to show support for equality in the community. Now tonight also the Rays are paying tribute to the Orlando Pulse tragedy that occurred on June 12th, 2016. The mural in the outfield tonight reads, "Honor them with action," providing examples how you can support the LGBTQ community. During our post-game show, we'll have a feature on the Rays' commitment and the team's efforts for equality. Dwayne.
All righty, thank you. On to the bottom of the second inning we go with the Rays holding a 3-0 lead. Tim Beckham will lead off. It'll be the bottom three in the order. Beckham, Robertson, and Sucre against Andrew Triggs. One ball, no strikes. Little chopper, and that's going to be over the head of Healy. Picked up by Pender, but no play on Beckham. Leadoff base hit with the Rays shortstop.
Well, how about where Healy was playing on Beckham? Obviously, somewhat concerned with maybe a bunt attempt, playing almost right there at the cut in front of the bag, and of course that ball's going to get over your head. Don't have a chance at all.
Yeah, and as hard as Beckham can hit the ball, not a lot of concern for self-preservation either.
Not at all. And how many times have we seen Beckham lay a bunt down the third base line? I mean,
yeah,
not enough to where you're going to play your third baseman in early like that. Well, I guess that's the result.
Daniel Robertson looks at a strike.
And guess what? He's right there with Daniel Robertson too. So this maybe has something to do with Andrew Triggs. He's playing in right on the cut. Just keep rolling over choppers.
It's inside. 1-1.
He keeps looking into the dugout too, trying to get some direction. He's moved back a little bit now.
Yeah, he was up on the cut, backed up as the pitch was delivered. The pitch away.
They're taking defensive setups now, and we've seen that. Obviously, the shift has become very vogue throughout the game, and then the shift within the shift. During a count with 2 strikes, you switch out the third baseman for the shortstop. There's a lot of different variations.
Over to first, back in Beckham.
Remember, you just used to go out and play a position. Now Ryan Healy, first pitch is hit the cut, then he backs up a little bit. Now he's all the way back at traditional third base.
Third base was never so confusing as it has been here. 3 pitches into the Robertson at bat.
And think about the outfielders. They all carry around the little cards for each guy in the lineup. Pretty traditional setup here against Robertson all around, really.
Count is going to be full. 3-2 here. Triggs had a 33 pitch first inning. It's more than double what he has averaged per inning this year. There goes the runner. The pitch hit on the ground at third. Healy's going to go to first with the throw, and into second goes Beckham, who's now in scoring position with 1 out.
To your point, Dwayne, look what he did against Malik Smith. Remember that at bat? A long at bat, Malik Smith takes the walk. And we've long said, if you're a starting pitcher coming in to face the Rays and you're not sharp early, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And that ended up costing him, that inning cost him 3 runs. The big blast by Souza Jr.
Souza's third 3-run home run of the year. His first home run this season was a 3-run blast. He's got 3 of them now. Sucre, which is a strike. With men in scoring position, he's hitting over 400, 409, 9 of 22. He's got 1 out there at second base right now. Brett Lowry breaking to the bag at second. It's wide, 1-1. Triggs off to a quick start over his first 8 starts and earned an average of barely over 2. In the last 3, it's been over 7. Ground ball, fair, past the diving Healy. Beckham's on his way to the plate. Sucre is on his way to second. Well, just put a man out there at second base for Jesus Sucre and let the at bat begin. And he does it again, driving in Beckham this time, and it's 4-0.
Well, Triggs has to be so on point against these righties. With that breaking ball, where it starts, it had better be down and it better get to the outside corner. This one, neither. And Sucre able to roll over it, hit it hard enough to get it by Healy. Beckham, of course, is going to stroll in for the Rays' 4th run, and Sucre continues to stay clutch when it counts.
The Rays turned the leadoff base hit into a run. Now top of the order, Alex Smith. And that's a strike, says Jeff Nelson. 3 in the first, a run in the second inning, 4-0 Rays. One and one. Foul out of play. 1-2. Smith scored a run his first time up with a man in scoring position right now. He takes ball 2. In the last outing for Triggs, it was against Washington. He gave up 6 runs, 9 hits in just under 4 innings. Washington beat Oakland 13-3 in that game. Stays wide, trying to find the zone with a breaking ball out there, and it stayed off the plate.
Well, he has a team that has already scored 4 runs off of him here just in the bottom of the second inning, and now starting to pick around the zone. Second at bat, he's picked around with Malik Smith, treating him like he's a 40 home run guy.
Bounces it foul.
Oh, that's what happens. You know, he gets off to such a great start to the season. All those numbers that you gave. Struggles here as of late. Last 3 starts. Got dinged up against the Nationals. And now all of a sudden, subconsciously, the confidence level starts to go down. And you start to pick for perfect pitches every time instead of attacking the zone.
And a foul ball. So we'll see another 3-2 pitch. Yeah, you get 3 bad outings in a row, and they tend to carry over. You want to put them away out of your mind, but sometimes difficult to do. And then you get off to a tough start as he has here, and all those negative memories are reinforced.
No question. I mean, you think about 3 starts. This is now the 4th start. That you're going back a couple of weeks of failure.
Base hit through the left side. Sucre will advance to third and stop. Throw comes through. So Alex Smith is on for the second time. First and third for the Rays.
Alex Smith, that ability to go the other way, lets that ball travel into the zone and then fires on it late. Boy, big hole to work with, and he pops it through. Continue to have productive at-bats. against Triggs.
Pitching coach Kurt Young out there with his battery of Stephen Vogt and Andrew Triggs.
You know, here's the other thing. Triggs is kind of limited with his arsenal. You know, you see a breaking ball and he'll try to change, you know, the shape and the speed of the breaking ball, but really breaking ball and a fastball, and the fastball is not going to blow you away with any kind of velocity, so you can sit back on it a little bit and you force him to have to be perfect.
Yeah. His velocity, he actually averages a little under 90 with the fastball. Well, here's Corey Dickerson. And he takes a big rip. Strike one.
And the harder breaking ball right there. He'll soften it up a little bit. Have seen no semblance of a changeup. Rays are making him work awfully hard.
Upstairs. Well, as we mentioned, 33 pitches in the first inning and over 20 now in the second. And there's the breakout. You can see let's break the season in half. 1-4 in his last 6 and 0-3 with a .720 in his last 3 starts. Looked it out of play. 1-2. Beckham has scored. Sucre's at third. Smith at first. Smith over there at first base already has 2 stolen bases in this game. Cut and a miss. Dickerson out on strikes. It's a big strikeout for Triggs, his second of the night and the second out in the inning.
And Corey Dickerson swings at more pitches outside of the zone than just about anybody in the game, and he goes to stretch out to get that one. Pitch that we've seen him be able to foul off and extend an at bat, but he's just a hair out in front and not able to get to it. That's how he will take a little bit off those breaking balls. Hard one early, soft one late.
Now Evan Longoria, there goes Smith. The throw down is not going to be in time. Coming in front of the bag to take the throw, Lowry. So steal number 3 of the night for Alex Smith.
Absolutely no chance. Big lead, great jump, courtesy throw. You're just hoping he slides by the bag.
Both men in scoring position. Little roller to the right side. That'll be picked up by Lowry. Throw to first. Longoria's out, and the Rays settle for a run and leave 2. 4-0 Tampa Bay. Fox Sports Sun is brought to you by your Southern Chevy dealers. By Jeep, get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance event. And by Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Rays lead 4-0. We head into the third inning with Alex Cobb on the hill, the 29-year-old right-hander. Chad Pinder leads off. Pitch is a strike. Pinder, then Brugman, followed by Davis. Two. Pinder out of Virginia Tech. He was up for a handful of games last year with Oakland. And a base hit the other way. Leadoff single, and for the second straight inning, the leadoff man is aboard.
Yeah, and Alex Cobb not real happy with himself because of the location of that pitch. He got strike 2 with the curveball. Sucre goes back to the curveball and then literally points to the ground, saying, "I want this ball on the dirt." And you can see it hangs up there thigh high, and it gives Pinder a chance. And that's why Alex Cobb, furious with the location. Watch right there. Look at Sucre telling him, "I want the ball down here." Didn't work out.
Jacob Brugman up here. First pitch is a strike. Brugman just up from the minor leagues.
I'll tell you what, watching Jesus Sucre behind the plate from that center field camera, he gives you so much action.
There's always a lot going on with him back there.
He's so demonstrative. He really lets a pitcher know what he wants from him. Not all the time, but enough to catch your attention.
Fly ball the other way. Rasmus is there. And Brugman making his major league debut. Skies out to left. So the young outfielder retired. AARP getting to know Rajai Davis. You know, Rajai translated, as you look at some of the particulars on him, leading the American League with 43 stolen bases last year. His first name translates into King, and for just a few moments last fall he was the king of Cleveland.
Oh yes, he was.
When he hit that home run in Game 7 of the World Series.
And who he hit it off of.
Yep, Chapman. Swing and a chopper foul, strike 1. Well, let's take a look at that.
I mean, he went down and got it too. Lifted that ball off the ground about 100 miles an hour over the high wall in left field. That tied the game up. You get that boy fired up.
Yeah, he had a big fan right there.
Yeah. I'd like to see him in that same pose tonight about midnight.
The foul ball back by Davis. 2 strikes.
I'll tell you what, sitting there and watching that game, and I know you probably felt the same way, it looked dire for Cleveland. And when that ball went out, you said there is no way they lose now.
I remember we exchanged a couple texts throughout that evening.
That's why I knew that you were watching. Well, that was your guy. I know how much you were pulling for him.
He's a fun guy.
I was in town.
Yeah, he's a fun guy, I'm telling you. Swing, a little foul ball. You know, he brings his energy to him. He's 36 now, and they brought him over to Oakland to do a little bit of that. And you know, they're in a situation where they may change things over and infuse their lineup with even more young players. But he's a good guy to have around, I think, on a team full of young players.
Well, I know that Cleveland certainly not only enjoyed his production, but enjoyed what he brought to that team in the clubhouse, in a mentoring type role.
A little bit of that, but he's always been a positive guy.
Or where he really stood out for us, Dwayne, the left side of the Toronto Blue Jay defense. Davis in left, Brett Laurie at third, Munenori Kawasaki at short, they would
a lot going on.
Oh, they'd make you dizzy.
Yeah.
They'd make you dizzy with all the movement.
And as broadcasters, you had to love that trio with everything that was going on. An 0-2 count. Way over to first, and Pender is back in. Pender singled the other way. He's at first. And another foul ball back. You know, when Davis originally signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates, he was a switch hitter, and they calmed him down and said, let's just hit right-handed.
Yeah, switch hitting is tough. You know, hitting in the big leagues, tough enough, no matter what. Well, all of a sudden, you're trying to do it from both sides of the plate and spread the work that you are able to get with, you know, 2 different approaches.
It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Think about the guys that are able to do that successfully and just how talented you are. I hit at the big leagues and I could do it right-handed. Oh, really? You're going to bring that guy? I'll just go over to this side and do the same thing. Middle of the game. Pretty incredible.
And it's down 2-2. Oh, you can switch hit.
No, I attempted to switch hit. I couldn't do it very well. It was fun. I mean, I'll tell you, it just gives you, getting a chance to hit at the major league level, you get such an appreciation for how difficult it is. And I got to see that from both sides. And that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun hitting left-handed and trying to get a hold of a Kevin Brown sinker. It's great.
Yeah, and if you did, the bat really hurt.
Oh, Kerry would.
Yeah.
He would go through his motion. Here comes the arm. You see it. Maybe it was more of you heard it and your brain thought you saw it, and you swing and it's, you know, you have no time to react. You're looking up at the board and it's 99 and you're thinking, how does anybody hit that?
Yeah, we've talked about
guys
this
do it every
before.
day.
That's why I think it's so great for pitchers in the minor leagues to hit.
Yeah.
Back toward the middle. That's Robertson out at second and out at first. They get a double play against Rajah Davis. Nicely done by Robertson. No runs a hit. And with the double play, nobody left on base. Here it is by Cobb, and Daniel Robertson knows what to do with it. 4-0 Rays. Draft Room, exclusively for Rays season ticket holders, blends hospitality and comfort, offering local craft beers and themed signature food items. Tropicana Field's premier destination for Rays season ticket holders exclusively. That would be the Republic Bank Draft Room. Call 888-FAN-RAYS. Logan Morrison up here. 1-0 the count. Morrison walked and then scored on Souza Jr.'s home run. A little bit outside there. 60 pitches already for Andrew Triggs. 2 pitches into the 3rd inning.
Well, he's had to absolutely work very hard against this Rays team.
High pop fly toward the line and left. That's going to be a tough play. Out of the way. Wow, how about that? Brugman made the catch. And they had Healy out there from 3rd, and he just rolled out of the way. Look at that stop.
Yeah, he just stopped, drop, and rolled, Dwayne. They teach you that in school. Except that usually involves a fire, but this was a little pop up to left.
Well, let's see. I'm not sure what he would get for form. He did get out of the way.
He did. I mean, he deadened the body pretty good. Went to the knees and just was gone. But I'll tell you, you know, we've seen visiting teams come in here and really struggle with this roof, especially when it's only typically 1 trip a year. And so these guys are out there trying to cover for each other, communicate, and they had to come from quite a bit of distance.
1-0 the count to Steven Souza Jr. Now with 11 home runs and 36 runs batted in. Liner into center. There's a base hit. And Souza warming up here.
Well, it's holding true as you look at the Rays lineup halfway through 2nd time. It's the right-handers that are doing the damage off of Triggs. Souza Jr. 2 big hits. Sucre drove in a run on a double up the line. Beckham with the little chop over Healy's head.
Colby Rasmus lifted the fly ball into left his first time.
He just stays away from these lefties.
And a swing and a miss to the backstop it goes. And down to second base goes Souza Jr.
Well, yeah, that gets away from Stephen Vogt because he is set up away waiting for that delivery. And Andrew Triggs, and he's going out to talk to him right now. Look where he's set up. Wants it away. Not even close.
Souza in scoring position via the wild pitch.
Little snack pack out there at second base. Little reload. The seeds.
Now he's headed to 3rd, and the pitch down and in. He'll steal it standing up. His 2nd stolen base.
I'm going to tell you something right now. For Andrew Triggs, if he doesn't learn to control the running game, you know, it's tough to pitch him. You know, you think as a starter, bad enough you're going to be out there 4, 5, 6 innings with, you know, base runners that are going to challenge you. Think about as a late inning reliever. You can't have a guy that can't control the running game. And Souza Jr. timed him up beautifully. It wasn't even close.
Infield up now, and a base hit into right field. The Rays get the run. That makes it 5-0. Souza crossing the plate. Rasmus over the drawn-in infield with the soft liner falling in front of Joyce.
Well, Souza Jr. right away taking an opportunity to steal 3rd base. That brings the infield up. Colby Rasmus pull the hands in, get the ball in the air. That ball got in enough on him that it's just going to die. Base hit, Rays that on once again.
Now Tim Beckham with Rasmus at first. That's a strike call. Two strikes here to Beckham. First game of a 4-game series, doubleheader tomorrow, and then the wrap-up game of the homestand on Sunday. Beckham started to go on that pitch that wound up wide. He checked. It's 1-2. Take a look at the matchups. Rays will have Erasmo Ramirez and Matt Andriese will pitch in the second game of that doubleheader. Sonny Gray and Sean Manaea will pitch for Oakland. Our coverage begins tomorrow at 1:30. And about 40 minutes or so between games of the doubleheader. It's low, and Vogt managed to keep the ball in front of him. Andriese will be activated, so it'll be Ramirez and Andriese for the Rays. Runner goes. The pitch chopped down to third. Healy plays it off to his left, and the throw to first in time. Beckham is out of there, and Rasmus moves up to second base.
Well, that's really good news on Matt Andriese, because those groin injuries can sometimes be troublesome. But to see him back out there on the mound, or what we assume to be him back out on the mound tomorrow afternoon, very encouraging for the Rays, because he's another guy that has been quietly going about his business in a very professional way, pitching deeper into games, getting a little bit more leash from Kevin Cash. He's earned it, by the way. Has thrown the ball well overall for this team, so nice to have him back.
First pitch is a strike to Robertson. Chris Archer and Jess Hahn will pitch in the game on Sunday afternoon. Little tap back to the mound. Briggs tossed to first, and the Rays settled for 1 run in the third. We've completed 3. It's 5-0 Tampa Bay.
Took off of Brian Johnson here with a solo blast. Top of the 4th inning, adding to the Detroit Tiger lead over the Boston Red Sox, high up over that far side of the monster. And right now all over 3 hits, or 3 runs, 7 hits. Red Sox yet to score a run.
Tigers trying to get to the 500 mark. We'll see them at the back end of the next road trip. A couple of games in Toronto and then into Detroit. Tigers running 3rd in the American League Central. Matt Joyce in the batter's box, leading off the 4th for Oakland. Pitches a ball.
I think everybody in the Central right now, most everybody in the Central, feels like they've got a chance. I mean, you really expected the Indians to take control of that division coming out of spring training. They've not been able to do that. A lot of injuries and really guys underachieving, and Minnesota's still hanging out up there up at the top. Detroit, Kansas City.
Yeah, that's interesting because we saw how the Twins were really struggling, especially with their pitching when the Rays were up there, and even after the Rays left town, that continued to be a major issue. Joyce lifts it down the right side, foul, carrying into the stands. And the count is now 2-2. But the Twins with a 1.5 game lead on the Indians, 2.5 up on the Tigers. The count to Joyce. Just a little bit of that one. He is still alive on the foul ball.
Barely got a piece of that changeup from Alex. A little adjustment to the swing at the very end to catch a piece of it. And he'll get another pitch to work with here.
Fly ball to center. Smith is there and he puts it away. It's the first out in the 4th.
You know, that's Alex Cobb. That's another example of him reading the swing of Matt Joyce. Okay, so he gets him reaching a little bit awkwardly on the changeup down and away to be able to spoil it. Immediately comes back in with the fastball and ties him up. Doesn't allow him to get fully extended. Soft fly ball to center field, and that's what you're talking about. Pitchability, and then in the midst of a sequence, being able to read a hitter and how he takes a pitch or how he even swings at a pitch.
The first pitch strike to Jed Lowry, and he's the perfect guy to have on a staff. You've got young pitchers behind him. Just a ton they can learn from a guy like this.
There's no doubt about it, because there are times, and it's not just us. You know, we sit up here with a lot of other guys who have been around this game for a long time at varying levels, and at times the game can become robotic, where it's just one pitch, one spot, one pitch, one spot, and there's not a whole lot of reading of sequences that involved. And Alex Cobb, more of one of those throwback type guys, where he definitely has a game plan, but he's also able to adjust. You know, the game plan may, hey, we're going to throw this down and away, work this guy on the outer half. Well, he starts diving out over the plate and hitting liners that are just slicing foul.
Yep.
Now that tells you, well, you know what, maybe I better come in, reestablish inside, then go back out there. And you know, a lot of that in-game, in-sequence adjustments you don't see being made, and Alex will do that.
The shot to right off the bat of Lowry, and that ball is going to bound off the top of the wall, still in play, and quite a throw back in by Souza Jr. Lowry in there at second with a double off the right field wall.
Boy, off the bat, you wondered if that had enough carry to get over. Jed Lowry hit it well, showing some quick hands on the inner half. This ball not quite where Alex wants it, and he's able to wrap it right out there to right field. And going to be that close, maybe a foot, foot and a half. And then Steven Souza Jr., you give him an opportunity to show off the arm, he's going to do it.
Lowry popped up there with that slide at second and said, where'd that throw come from?
That's exactly right.
There's a strike to Chris Davis. 19 doubles for Jed Lowry, and he shares the top spot with Corey Dickerson now in the American League in doubles. This is too low, 1-1. Davis, the one walk allowed by Cobb so far tonight. A couple of strikeouts for Alex. Now 2-1. Thirteenth start of the year for Alex Cobb. Trying to even his record. He's 4-5 right now, and he has a 5-run lead. Breaking ball lifted into right. Souza Jr. makes the catch. 2 gone with Lowry still at second base.
Well, Cobb may have gotten away with one there to Chris Davis. That was a curveball that stayed up in the zone. You know, you're not going to make every pitch. I'll tell you,
fortunately for pitchers, hitters don't hit every pitch.
That's right.
Every mistake.
That's right. Here's your curveball. That's not exactly where you want it, but boy, awfully nice when Chris Davis, you can already see him get ready to talk to himself because he knows he got one mistake to hit and was not able to do it. Well, you always feel good. You don't feel good about where that pitch ended up, but you feel good about the result, and you know in your mind, I've got to make the adjustment next time I go to it.
Here's Alonso.
The wrong way, though, on that adjustment.
"16 home runs for the Oakland first baseman. Alonso, very good first baseman, a selective hitter, and this year hitting with more power. One ball, 2 strikes. Toyota inside look. Just take a comparison last year to this year.
Well, a third of the way through. The average has gone up by 40+ points. He's more than double the home runs already. Runs batted in, well on his way. It's been a nice season here for Yonder Alonso through the first couple months.
And a bit, yeah, that slugging percentage had gone from what, 337 to 660. He's swinging the bat like you'd like to see a first baseman swing it.
Mean intentions. Let's see if Alex goes back out with that changeup away.
It's a ground ball to the right side. Cobb to cover, takes the toss from Morrison. A double and a man left, and we go to the bottom of the 4th. 5-0 Tampa Bay.
By team president Brian Auld. And Brian, tonight is Pride Night here at the Trop. 12th Pride Night in club history. What does it mean to you to see the Rays just continue their commitment to showing equality in the community?
It's always important to show that we believe in equality, and in particular to support the LGBT community. Tonight is a little bit extra special because it's the one-year anniversary of the Pulse shooting in Orlando. Of course, a tragedy that affected our entire community. And so to be able to bring people together tonight to remember and to honor them with action, as our hashtag suggests, all the great things that have come out of that tragedy really feels good for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just want to ask you about, it's a busy weekend for the Rays. You have a doubleheader coming up tomorrow. So fans coming out to the game, what can they expect?
So much to expect. Going to be great food items, going to be a lot going on between games, including a banner parade. So kids, make banners, bring it out. We'll let you roll around on the field between the two games. I'm really just excited about having a doubleheader, something that I remember from my youth as being just the absolute best day of the year. 2 baseball games, 7 hours at the park. I think it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, we can't wait. Some throwback uniforms as well for the players for that first game. Now, before we let you go, just want to ask you about Kevin Kiermaier. Unfortunate news today. He'll be out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. But how optimistic are you that the team will overcome his loss based on what you've been seeing from your club so far this season?
Well, as you know, you don't replace a player like Kevin Kiermaier. It's impossible. But we've got a great squad, and they've been overcoming adversity and injuries all season long, staying right in the thick of things. We've got some guys about to come back, and we've got a really positive attitude in that clubhouse. I think this team is ready to make a real run. I'm excited to see it happen, and I think we'll be talking pretty soon about how getting Kevin Kiermaier back is going to put us in great position for the postseason.
Brian, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks all the viewers.
Well, then the base hit by Sucre to lead it off here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Sucre's second hit, 2 for 2. This time to lead off as opposed to driving in a run.
Yeah, well, of course. And so what's he do as the leadoff guy? He goes the other way.
Yeah.
Use the right side of the field. There's a lot of hits over there. I was going to say that Andrew Triggs must love working out of the stretch with all these base runners, but
that's what he does anyway.
Does that anyway.
Another pitch blocked here by Stephen Vogt. He has had a busy night behind the plate.
More of a goalie here tonight than a catcher. Another wayward delivery by Triggs. He's got to try to get out and around it. Keeps it close enough. I'll tell you, the Rays have had consistent pressure on Triggs all night long.
And a high fly ball back into right. Joyce will go to the wall. That baby's gone. Home run for Smith. What a night he's having. Malik Smith has just belted his first home run. A 2-run blast following the base hit by Sucre. Rays have scored in every inning and now have a 7-0 lead.
Well, when Triggs finds himself yanking pitches across the plate to the lefties, they already have a good look at the arm slot and the release point. And Malik Smith quick on that ball in. Let the pitch do the work. You just catch it and throw it right over the fence.
His first home run of the year. He had 3 home runs last year for Atlanta. And goes deep tonight. He has walked, singled, and now homered. A 2-run shot here. He scored 2 runs. He's stolen 3 bases. So what a night he has had as the Rays pop him right into the leadoff spot. Now 2-0 the count to Corey Dickerson. Action in the bullpen. Zach Neal begins to throw. Seven runs here on 8 hits for the Rays. Steven Souza Jr. hit a 3-run homer in the first, and Malik Smith has homered a 2-run home run in the 4th inning. Morrison, a ground ball to second. Yet Lowry takes care of that. First out in the bottom of the fourth. Evan Longoria. Evan has struck out and grounded out tonight. It's the first pitch strike. Down. Well, Andrew Triggs coming in off a couple of tough starts, 3 in a row. He gave up 6 runs to Boston, then 6 to New York, 6 to Washington. The chopper. Longoria's out 4-3, and he's given up 7 to the Rays. So 4 consecutive starts by the Oakland right-hander. Things have not worked out well at all.
No, he has been really the entire season all or nothing. You know, he's given up 1 or 0 earned runs in 7 of his 11 starts. You're like, that's great. But 5 times he's given up 5 or more runs. Maybe not all earned, but he's given up the runs. And so it's feast or famine tonight, and famine here against the Rays.
Back of first, foul off the bat of Logan Morrison.
Depending on your point of view, feast on the Rays side of things.
Yeah, the Rays, if you look at Corey Dickerson's 0 for 3, Evan Longoria is 0 for 3. So 0 for 6 between them, and the Rays have 7 runs, 8 hits, and there's a shot back into right field, and that's going to reach the stands. Home run for Logan Morrison, his 17th of the year. And the Rays make it an 8-0 ball game. Two home runs in this inning, 3 on the night. Morrison connecting for number 17. And that's going to be it for Andrew Triggs.
Well, another pitch that got yanked across the plate to a lefty. And Logan Morrison, dangerous man to do that with. Absolute missile.
Pitching change coming back right after this. Triggs. He departs with the Rays leading 8-0. 88 pitches, 9 hits, 8 runs, 3 home runs in 3 2/3. Couple walks and a couple strikeouts, and he gives way to Zach Neal, 28-year-old right-hander. First man he faces, Steven Souza Jr. A ball, no strikes.
Well, Andrew Triggs did not come into the game very sharp. We saw that right off the bat with the leadoff walk to Malik Smith. And when you get off to a rough start against the Rays offense, you are susceptible, and they just never stopped pouring it on.
One and one.
Malik Smith, he could call the rest of the night off. It's already been terrific.
Yeah, what a night coming back to the Rays from Durham. He was hitting over 300 at Durham, and boy, we can see why tonight. Two on the count on Souza Jr.
We think of all the facets of his game offensively that he showed already. You know, work a long at bat, take a walk, steal a couple bases, hit a ball to the left side between, you know, short and third, slap the ball the other way, pull on a mistake in for power. I mean, he's covered it all.
3-2 here. Yeah, he's a great addition to drop in among what this offense has been. It's primarily been a walk, home run, strikeout offense, and he's an interesting element to have in there with his speed, ability to work counts.
Yeah. You know, we thought that when we got to see him early on, it just turned out to be there wasn't any room for him. And now, obviously, by necessity, with Kevin Kiermaier going down, he gets another chance, and he definitely is a different dynamic than what you normally see in this lineup.
Yeah, I think when the Rays first got him, they thought of him maybe as a guy who could hit down in the bottom of the lineup. Boy, there is a towering fly ball into left and comes down. Brugman can't catch it. I don't know if it hit anything up there or not, but Souza Jr. keeps on running and winds up at third. Boy, that was towering up among the rings and the rigging. Right now, Souza Jr. is at third base, and the umpires are going to get together to sort out what they saw exactly.
I got to tell you, Dwayne, this one I'm not sure. You followed it up there. I mean, it was headed towards the B ring. That's way up towards the B ring. Whether it went over that, just under it, over, and then, you know, I don't know. Could not follow that one the entire way. All I know is that Jacob Brugman couldn't follow it either.
You can only imagine being in his circumstance.
Oh. And Kevin, I'm sure, is going to go out here and ask for a crew chief review because it involves a home run.
Well, here's the ball off the bat. We just can't get high enough. But you see Brugman. He was actually looking for that ball. It appeared to go out and was surprised that it stayed in.
You know, you almost wonder if that ball goes over the B ring and hits the C ring on the way down and then comes back to the field, because you're right, he did glance over his shoulder ready to just watch this thing sail into the stands. Hey, if they can call a home run because Kevin Kiermaier was out of position, they can call it a home run because Jacob Brugman was looking for the ball to go into the stands.
Of course.
Same principle.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's a precedent set. Ball had a little English on it. Well, actually more than a little English on it. That took off on Kiermaier out there.
That had the King's English all over it.
It did indeed. And you could see Brugman out there kind of look toward the stands briefly, thinking that ball was going to go out. And we'll see what can be determined by way of the review. I mean, what a shot off Souza's bat. He already has a home run tonight. 3-run homer in the first. Singled and scored in the third. And an umpire review on this one. So the call on the field, the ball in play. He winds up at third. Let's see if we can determine. There's the flight of that fly ball right now. Boy, very difficult to tell.
Or did it catch the roof? I mean, did it hit the roof and then that's what caused it to come down? You might have to come up with a new set of ground rules for going over the B ring and off the roof.
Because if it hits those 2 back rings,
right, those are homers.
Fair territory, it's a home run. But if it hits the roof, which is another thing, so he's going to have a triple. They come out of the review,
and that would make sense if Brugman is following that the whole way. You know, and he's reading it, and just assumes this ball's going to end up in the stands. And you take this ball here, it's up, up, up. Now, does it catch the roof right there? It does. That absolutely changed direction. There's no question about it.
That's amazing. So it's a triple. Now a swing and a miss by Rasmus. Well, you know what that does? That puts him within a double of the cycle now. So we're only in the 4th inning. So he's got a home run, a single, and a triple. He needs a double for the cycle, and we're early in this game.
I can't believe that ball hit the B ring that far out. Or, I mean, sorry, hit the roof over the B ring that deep.
It was some kind of blast indeed. And I mean, no one knows for sure, but, you know, with the bit of evidence that we have, you could build that argument.
There's no question. I think you can build it visually.
Tap down to first. It'll be handled by Alonso. So the Rays, with a couple of home runs, add to their lead. 2-run homer by Malik Smith and the solo shot by Logan Morrison. Rays now lead this game 8-0. 3 on the night, and boy, Steven Souza Jr. unloaded what eventually was ruled a triple on a ball that you could very well argue, and you have, BA, that ball hit the roof, in which case you would need new ground rules here. Ground rules to take care of it. If it hits the B ring or the C ring or the D ring and all of that, if it's fair, foul up there, one ball's in play, another one, it's a dead ball, all that.
I love it.
But nothing about hitting the roof.
I love it, and I think what you ought to do, B ring, you hit the B ring, it's just a ball in play if it was fair territory. C ring, D ring are homers. The roof in between B ring, C ring is a home run, and we saw that because Jacob Brugman was looking at that ball as it was going to head over the fence before it hit the roof.
Yeah, well,
hold on.
You can make an amendment right here. There you are.
Hashtag roof. Raise up. That's right.
I think it works.
Boom.
Nice going. So it's now officially part of the ground rules. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Ryan Healy. Well, you know, Souza would probably like to have that home run. I mean, that was some blast.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
He has a triple, but now he has a chance to hit for the cycle. Healy skies this one down toward the bullpen. Morrison after it, but out of play.
You know, I probably should have put a hashtag roof raise way up as opposed to just raise up.
Sure.
That ball left the bat. You know, with all of these guys trying to get the ball airborne,
it's coming into play more and more.
Yes, it is. No question about it.
That's right. When they signed Rasmus, I think we both thought the same thing. Oh, hits Healy. That Rasmus, with that big uppercut that we sometimes see from him, we think, well, he might hit the roof every day, every game he plays.
It's possible.
I mean, he's lifting the ball and hitting it hard, and that's his game. Well, Healy's at first, hit by the pitch. Now Stephen Vogt. Takes the pitch wide, 1-0. 8 runs for the Rays. Hauled off the starter Triggs. Neal in the game for them. Cobb making the start and beginning the 5th inning of work for the Rays. Fly ball. Center field with Malik Smith making the call and the catch. One away. There's Chad Pender. Pender had a base hit in the 3rd, eventually part of an inning-ending double play. Pops it, foul ball. Morrison hustling after this one, but can't get there. Souza Jr. sprinting in from right field. foul back to the right side. 0-2. Just a little over 70 pitches here. Third hitter into the 5th inning. Upstairs 1-2. Bruckman on deck. Hayes like Pinder's versatility. And he looks at this one right on the corner.
Dwayne, how did he set Pinder up early in the at-bat? Fastball's in, foul ball, fastball in, foul ball. You make a hitter aware of the fastball in, and then all of a sudden you do this. Just locks up, just locks up. That's beautiful.
Right out there on the corner.
I'll tell you, that's working both sides.
Third strikeout for Cobb. Bruckman. Pitch is down. Bruckman lifted a fly ball to left his first time. Young man out of Brigham Young University. A cut and a miss. He was originally drafted by the Yankees. Did not sign. Went to school. And drafted in 2013 by Oakland. Shot up the right side. That's a foul ball down beyond the bullpen bench.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, the bullpen is quite empty right now because that play could not be made. Too much heat on that line drive. Chase Whitley down there with the enforcer and Stan Borowski, and that came close. Get out of there. Yeah, right where. Oh, listen, Chase wasn't taking a chance. He was getting out of the way.
Pitch is down, blocked by Sucre. 2-2. Healy first, 2 outs. Fly ball toward the line and left, and Rasmus makes the catch to retire the side. Man left onto the home half of inning 5. 8-0 Tampa Bay. Sports Unlimited baseball break brought to you by T-Mobile. Colorado Rockies with a 6-game winning streak. Third best record in the majors now at 40-23. And while the Texas Rangers are having trouble collectively putting much together, their shortstop Elvis Andrus with a 12-game hitting streak now, hitting over 400 in that stretch and driving in runs at the same time. Here's Tim Beckham driving one straight away to center, all the way to the wall, gone! Home run for Tim Beckham. First pitch, and Beckham hits his 10th home run of the year. Beckham laid into that one to make it a 9-0 game right now.
Well, he got a fastball down and out over. He gets full extension, barrel to baseball. That's a great shot of that ball coming off the bat. Hot straightaway center field and off that back wall.
There's a ball to Daniel Robertson. So Tim Beckham in double figures in home runs with 10, and that was a loud one.
Boy, it certainly was. And when you look at your scorebook, Dwayne, and I know that yours is in a lot better shape than mine, you start to see all the runs scored. Everything spread out 1 through 9, literally. Malik Smith having a heck of a night in the leadoff spot.
Up the right side off Robertson's bat. If that's fair, that's a base hit, and now more. Robertson on his way to second, will turn second and dig for 3, and will stop at third with a triple. Robertson dropped it just fair out of the reach of Joyce. Second triple of the year for Daniel Robertson.
Off the bat, you knew it was trouble. And when you saw Matt Joyce leave his feet, you're thinking automatic triple. Here it is. Inside out that ball, right down the right field line. Close to the line. Matt Joyce had a long way to run for it. Ends up a couple of feet short, and Daniel Robertson off to the races.
Jesus Sucre pitches a strike. Robertson continues to impress. He's reached base now in 10 consecutive starts. Not hits in all of those games, but he's been on base in 10 straight starts and making the plays. You ask him to make a play on the infield, he's made them.
Yeah, his development has been really fun to watch. Early on, you know, the playing time limited, now getting a chance to be out there regularly, and the growth.
There's a base hit. Robertson will score. Sucre comes through again with a man in scoring position. He's 3 for 3 tonight with 2 runs batted in, and the Rays lead 10-0.
Before Daniel Robertson dropped that triple in, that's exactly what I was going to say, Dwayne. Malik Smith at the top with a big night, and then Sucre right down there in the 9-hole having a big night. Everybody getting involved here tonight. And the Rays just continue to pour it on.
Well, the Rays building this big lead.
I'm going to tell you something else, too. The fact that this series, you read in the notes that in roughly a 45, 46-hour period, you're going to play 4 baseball games, and you've already gotten into the bullpen here with the Oakland A's, knocking Triggs out of the ball game. But you're going to have to get someone else up here pretty quickly, because the Rays just continue to swing the bats. You always want to do that at the first game of a series, but in such a condensed 4-game series.
Yeah, only in the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, I'm going to make it really tough for Bob Melvin to try to find a way to cover all these innings, keep swinging the bats like this.
0-2 on Alex Smith. Well, the home run by Tim Beckham is 10th of the year. That's a career high for Beckham. The Rays have jumped on Zach Neal, who's faced 5 hitters and given up 2 triples, a homer, and a single. Ground ball right side. Long throw to second, and they're not going to be able to make it. Sucre is safe. Pender reaching into the infield side of the bag and could not come up with it. So everybody's safe.
Jed Lowry trying to make a hero type play. You know, normally you would say to yourself, just take the out at first, but with Sucre running, he thinks he's going to be able to get him at second, but that throw a little bit wide. Pinder can't flag it down.
There's the off-balance throw.
Now that's another area that this Oakland A team has really struggled with, is the defensive side of things. When you look at the number of errors this team has committed this year compared to just the rest of the league, pretty astounding.
That's ruled a fielder's choice with Sucre safe at second, Smith at first. And here's Dickerson sending a fly ball deep to center. Davis will run out of room on that one. Dickerson has hit one out. A 3-run shot. Dickerson's 14th home run of the year. And the Rays have the big bats out tonight. Five home runs for the Rays tonight. They now lead 13-0.
Middle down. Corey Dickerson right through it. My goodness.
Now Dickerson had gone 0 for 3 tonight. Tough to keep him off the board. And he lowered the boom with a 3-run home run. The Rays having their biggest output of the season in a single game. 13 runs tonight. They lead 13-0. Longoria looks at a strike. The count is 1-1. One and two. Rays have runs in every inning. 5 in this inning. And a 3-run first, single runs in the second and third, 3 more in the fourth, and 5 in the fifth. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 13 runs, 14 hits. And a big cut and a miss. Longoria is out on strikes. 2 gone here in the inning. Now Logan Morrison. Morrison walked in the first and scored, homered in the fourth. A fly ball to left in the third. Morrison misses a fastball right there. 8 runs off Triggs, 5 off Neal. One and one. Rays had a 12-run night against Kansas City on May the 10th. scored 13 against Oakland tonight. One away here in the inning on the strikeout of Longoria. And a foul ball makes it 2-2 on Logan Morrison. Home run by Tim Beckham to start it on the first pitch of the inning. He homered to center. 3 pitches later, Robertson tripled to right. Sucre drove him home. Sucre moved to second on the fielder's choice ground ball. When Smith reached, and the throw to second did not get Sucre. Then Dickerson lowered the boom on the home run. Longoria struck out for the first out. Strike 3 called on Logan Morrison. 2 gone in the inning. Well, a big home run night for the Rays. 5 home runs. That gives them 97. They've moved ahead of Houston. Astros have 95. The Yankees 91. Oakland 87 fourth. Steven Souza Jr. pitches a strike. Well, Souza with a homer, single, and triple. Souza fouls this one. Down 0-2, so all he needs is a double to hit for the cycle.
He's going to get a couple of cracks at it too. You know, here's where the question comes in. So you hit a gap or out into deep left center field with this defensive alignment. You've got a triple in the bag. Do you pull up in second to get the cycle, or do you play it true and go get 3 because it's there?
You're always creating trouble.
Well, that's not trouble. I mean, that's a legitimate scenario. What do you do?
Well, Upton with the only cycle in Rays history. 2009. So you want to know if you're going to stay true to the legitimacy of the game.
Yeah, yes, it's a triple. It's going to be a stand-up triple, or do you coast into second and stay put? I know what I'm doing.
You're going to stay at second?
You know, chance. I'm going to third base and let it play out. Let it play out like it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
You got a triple. Take a triple.
Foul ball.
But you've seen that argument made, and you've seen other guys do it, where they'll take that extra, you know, to get the. I like the whole thing. I like the Ted Williams hitting 400 going into the last day of the season.
Yeah, I'm not sitting.
I'm not sitting. I'm playing.
Yeah.
Well, you have a chance to fall. I'm playing.
Yeah.
I like that kind of stuff instead of sit out that last day to keep your average above 300.
Yeah. Yeah. And in his case, he increased it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, well, we're going to get a chance to see it.
Yeah,
maybe.
we are. Two the count. And now ball 3. Full count. Rays have scored 5 in the 5th. Souza Jr., the 8th hitter to come up in this inning. And a little tapper foul, forcing another pitch. So here you are. Neal here working in the 5th. He's been touched up for 5 runs, a couple of strikeouts, and now Souza Jr.'s worked what will be at least a 10-pitch at bat. It's been that kind of night for Oakland pitching.
Absolute nightmare scenario for Bob Melvin.
Ground ball down to third, grabbed by Healy. Throw to first in time to get Souza. So the Rays with a 5-run inning. Beckham opened it with a home run. Sucre singled home a run, and then Corey Dickerson hits a 3-run shot to center. Rays lead 13-0. Ten hitters during a home game. Visit CanesStrikeout.com and obtain a printed home voucher to take to any Canes furniture store within 7 days and receive a coupon for a free Whopper sandwich combo meal from Burger King. Well, a big lead here for Alex Cobb. Steven Souza Jr. ending the bottom of the 5th with that ground ball close to the bag at third. And that could very easily have been a double. He needs one of those for the cycle. Rajay Davis swings and misses. Strike one. So Souza home run, single, triple, and that ground out third to first. And a nice play by Healy down there. So Souza attempted to get it by him at third for a double. Didn't work out. Now the 1-1 to Davis. 2 balls and a strike. Here's that ball hit to third. And Healy with the pickup and the turn in time. And Souza thinking that might be good enough for 2. Nope. Three balls and a strike. Well, he should have another shot.
At least one.
Foul ball straight back, just above us, and the count will go to 3-2. Matt Joyce on deck. The right side, that's going to be out of play.
You know what this is really skewing here tonight, Dwayne, is Alex Cobb's run support average.
Yes, it is, isn't it? We by a ton.
You get done with this game and you look like, how is this guy not undefeated? Averages like 8-9 runs a game.
swing and a miss. He strikes out Davis.
I'll tell you what, he has been sharp here tonight. The fastball, the setting up of hitters, the sequencing has been pretty. And he's able to tie Davis up here. A fastball up and in, perfectly placed. He's able to, been able to maneuver that curveball around the zone. The changeup has looked better. When it hasn't had that same finish, he's at least put it in a good spot.
And Joyce takes a strike on the corner. Looking over the corners.
Well, I tell you, that's the quickest line to success as a pitcher. You're able to control both sides of the plate like he just did with the same pitch. And that's what we're talking about. Curveball in, strike one. I'm going to backdoor a curveball, strike two. Now, if you're Matt Joyce, now what?
Well, that strike three on the corner.
That's it. I'm done. I'm done talking about Cobb and the sequencing. That was absolute beauty. And Matt Joyce shaking his head.
I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that.
It does. Curveball in, curveball away, and wait for it. Here, seal it. Tell you, he held that balance point for a long time. That just shows you how locked in he is.
Yeah, very tough for a hitter to endure that.
Yep.
Want to know the count to Jess Lowry? Two balls, no strikes. Shot back into left center field. Malik Smith will play it off the wall. Extra bases for Lowry. And it's second with a double. So a pair of two-base hits by Lowry. So he's at second base. Two gone.
Hit that ball well. That's two. That one a few feet from getting out of here.
Davis has walked and skied to right. Fouls this one back. Big cut. And a fastball. Strike one. Doubleheader tomorrow, then the day game on Sunday, and the Rays will head to Toronto and eventually into Detroit. There's a ball headed for the right field corner. That will one hop the wall, and the run will score, but on the carom, Souza played it well, made a barehanded reception, and holds Chris Davis to a single, and the Athletics have a run.
Back-to-back base hits. This pitch away, a little bit of elevation, not too much, but Chris Davis showing some pretty good plate coverage. But Souza Jr. continuing to play hard on both ends, offensively and now out there in the field, and keeps him to a single.
So Lowry scoring that run with that double. He's moved ahead of Dickerson in the double department. 20 doubles for Lowry. Dickerson has 19. Strike the count on Alonso, the first baseman. Two. Ground ball headed toward left center. Rasmus is there to make the catch. A run, 2 hits, 1 left. Bottom of the 6th. Rays lead 13-1. Been a big power night for the Rays. It started with the Steven Souza Jr. 3-run first inning home run. They've hit 5 total. Alex Smith got into the act with a home run in the 4th inning. Logan Morrison hit one also in the 4th, and the Rays added 2 more in the 5th. Tim Beckham to dead center to lead it off, and then Corey Dickerson takes one out to center field. A 3-run shot. The Rays have a 13-1 lead. 13 runs, 14 hits. Alex Cobb, through 6 innings, has been very good tonight. Kobe Rasmus takes the pitch down, 1-0. Just in case you're wondering, the team record for home runs in a game is 6. They've done that 3 times. Rasmus with the big uppercut, thinking about number 6 there, trying to lift that one. Ryan Garten is up in the bullpen.
Hey, you wonder if that's the end of Cobb's night. 6 efficient innings. Got a huge lead.
You have him at 96 pitches.
That would be a good stopping off point.
You know, these starters have picked up an extra day too.
Yeah,
they were talking about that the other day, and sometimes you don't like that. Did you have a feeling about that?
Getting an extra day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mind. You know, it was a long season. An extra day, you just adjust your schedule by 1 day. It's not a big deal. You know, some guys would choose to throw maybe 2 shorter bullpens. Other guys would just take that extra day, throw the bullpen on your normal, you know, days before your start. So instead of throwing it on the 2nd day, you throw it on the 3rd day.
You kind of backdate it.
That's it. And so it was just a matter of personal preference. But I did not mind that during the course, you know, of a long season.
Yeah,
it also depends too how you're throwing. Mm-hmm. You know, sometimes that extra day comes in handy. Other times you're like, I want to start again tomorrow.
Yeah. Tim Beckham swinging and missing, strike 1. Well, the idea is that, you know, somewhere down the line, that's going to buy you a little time and maybe a little sharpness later in the season. Not as much fatigue.
And that's why you just assume here that Alex Cobb's out of this ball game. And in comes Garten, and I'm sure, knowing Alex, he'd like to be back out there. He wants to go 7 or 8, but when you look big picture, 12-run lead, 6 efficient innings, pitch count well in, you know, well in line with what you'd hope for through 6 innings. You call it a night and let your bullpen clean up the rest.
The Rays have had a big offensive night, leading 13-1. Beckham part of that with 2 hits, including his 10th home run, a career high. He takes that one into center field for hit number 3. He'll make the turn and head for second, and he is out at second. Davis throws him out. Well, that's interesting.
You wonder. You start talking about the unwritten rules in baseball, and I don't know if that even exists anymore. But if they do, this might come into play. See if they even did get him. Like he was obviously in there, and then maybe comes off. Who knows? That hand was there before the tag, that's for sure.
I don't know the count. There might not be that rule anymore. That unwritten rule. I don't know. Robertson swings and misses, trying to hold up.
Oh boy. Wanted that double.
Yeah. It did look like he was safe.
Yeah, it did. Absolutely. You know, unless they had him coming off the bag, you're right. He was there before that tag, no doubt.
Healy throws out Robertson. The Rays are finished in the 6th. We go to the 7th. It's 13-1 Rays.
As they lead at 13-1. Alex Cobb kind of overshadowed in this game by the offense, but I'll tell you what, 6 very efficient, impressive innings. Good curveball there below the zone. The changeup, I'll tell you, that pitch looked good here tonight, but the location of the fastball and the way that he was able to set it up on both sides of the plate, very, very impressive. And Alex Cobb will finish with a line of 6 innings, 4 hits, an earned run, just 1 walk to go along with 5 Ks.
Well, the Rays make some defensive changes as we head into the 7th inning. Taylor Featherston takes over at first base. They'll have Martinez in there at second as Robertson moves from second to third base. And Peter Borges in the game in center field. Garten is on the hill. So 6 innings for Cobb. Garten on to start the 7th. He'll face Ryan Healy. The pitch inside. Well, the Rays are the big lead, and the doubleheader looming tomorrow. Make some changes here. Swing and a miss on the fastball. So the outfield has Rasmus in left still. Borges in center. Susie Jr.'s in right. Robertson at third. Beckham at short. Martinez at second, and Featherston at first. Two and one the count. Into left center field. Here comes Rasmus, and he makes the catch. Nice read by Rasmus in left to get over into left center to grab that one.
Boy, you're right, because off the bat initially, especially from our vantage point, you're saying that ball has a chance to get down, but watch Rasmus close ground, hangs up just enough, and he's able to come in and record out number one.
Stephen Vogt 0 for 2. Rays started the night at 500, trying to get over the mark again. They're 31 up and 31 down. There's some strike at the knees. So the Rays have been within 3 games up or down of the 300 mark all year. And that's been the movement in and around that 500 mark. There's a long one back into right field, and that's going to get out of here. So Garton gives up the home run to Stephen Vogt. Vogt's 4th home run.
A 4-seam fastball, and Stephen Vogt get the head out and create a tremendous amount of backspin. Carries that ball deep out into right center field.
So the second run of the night for Oakland. A cut and a miss by Pender. Oh, 2. 2 runs, 5 hits now for Oakland. Vogt with 4 home runs and 14 runs batted in. It's 1 and 2. Ruckman on deck. Two and 2. And cut the miss. Pender is out on strikes.
How about that? Where did that ball go?
It disappeared down and into Pender.
Let's see. It's a knuckle curve too. That's the thing. You look like a breaking ball, but look how that came out of the hand of Garton. And the ultimate backup nasty curveball right there. The only backup curveball you'll see with true 12-6 spin.
Ruckman takes a strike.
I've never seen that before.
Well, that knuckle curve gives you extra break. He got it straight down.
The completely wrong direction. I mean, that was pretty incredible right there. Now, if you could repeat that.
Yeah. Going to cover first. Garten got over there in time. Martinez makes the play. 4-1. 7th inning stretch time, and the Rays lead 13-2. Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Rays Live, the pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. It's a doubleheader at the Trop and 1970s throwback with Joe Rudy hitting one out. Rays back then winning 3 straight. The likes of Reggie Jackson. Great unis too. Sal Bando, part of that crew. And in tomorrow's doubleheader, Sonny Gray and Erasmo Ramirez squaring off in game 1 at 1:30. Matt Andriese against Sean Manaea. And then Jesse Hahn and Chris Archer will work the Sunday game. Coverage of the pregame show begins at 1:30. Stomper has made it in from Oakland for the series and the doubleheader. We're headed into the bottom of the 7th. Adam Rosales enters the game at third base here for Oakland. Healy moves from third to first. The first pitch to Sucre is a strike. The count. Peter Borges will be next for the Rays. On the way, 2-1. Borges had just taken over in center field from Malik Smith. Zach Neal eating some innings here. They're just shot to left off the bat of Sucre and will be caught. Brugman back at the track making a little leaping catch on that one. And so Sucre finally retired. He's 3 for 4 tonight with 3 runs scored and 2 runs driven in.
I'll tell you, this Rays offense, top to bottom, been getting the job done. Sucre continues to be hot with runners in scoring position. Hit that ball hard. does a great job behind the plate. You know, you love watching him and how demonstrative he is with his pitchers and what he wants from them, and giving those guys good visuals.
Or just swings through the first pitch. Well, the A's needed to cover some innings. Their starter left after 3 2/3. 0-2. The Rays scored in each of the first 5 innings, and they did it in a prolific manner. 3 in the first, single runs in the second and third, 3 in the fourth, and 5 in the fifth. One ball, 2 strikes. All the while they did that, Alex Cobb gave them 6 innings, 96 pitches of 4-hit, 1-run baseball. Walked 1 and struck out 5. It's a 2-2 count to Borges. Dickerson on deck. A little bit high. 3-2. There's a cut and a miss. Borges is out of there. Beginning June 15th, the greatest players in the world descend upon Aaron Hills for one of golf's most anticipated events of the year. Dustin Johnson looks to defend his title. Jason Day, Jordan Spieth, and Rory McIlroy are primed to tame golf's ultimate test. The 117th U.S. Open beginning June 15th on Fox, FS1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Pitch now to Dickerson. That's a strike. Dickerson with a 3-run home run. He pulls this one into right field. It's going to be caught by Joyce. And the Rays are up and down. 1, 2, 3. On to the 8th we go. 13-2. is brought to you by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers and by Jeep. Get great deals at the Jeep Spring Clearance Event. Rays and the Athletics opening this 4-game series. Ryan Garten on the hill to begin the 8th with Rajai Davis in the batter's box. Pitch is too high. 1-0. Cut and a miss. Now 1-1. We talked about Steven Souza Jr. with a chance to hit for the cycle, and the way things stack up now, he would hit third in the bottom of the inning here in the 8th. Davis with a little chopper, third base side, going to roll foul, and Robertson makes the pickup. It's 1-2. Davis had a shot in the last series for the A's to hit for the cycle and came up just short. He is 0 for 3 tonight. Two. Davis went 4 for 5 Wednesday against Toronto. Fouls it back. Still 2-2. 4 hits, single, 2 doubles, and a triple. So he was a home run shy of the cycle despite the 4-hit night. Now the count is full. And Souza tonight has a home run, single, and a triple. Steven Souza Jr. 3 for 4 tonight. Due up in the bottom of the inning. And a walk given up by Garten here to begin the 8th. Look at the former Ray, Matt Joyce, to the plate. Joyce is 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts. Ball, no strikes. Two 2-0. Six innings for Cobb. Garten worked the 7th, touch for a home run by Stephen Vogt. Goes 2-1 on Matt Joyce. Jed Lowry on deck.
Baby. Come on, Blue.
3-1. Garten, since coming in, has thrown more pitches out of the zone than in.
Not exactly what you want when it's 13-1. And bringing a guy out of the bullpen, attack that strike zone.
And he gives up back-to-back walks to open the 8th. Tampa Bay Rays baseball is presented by Jeep. Hickey's going to have to trot to the mound. With runners at first and second. Jim Hickey said, even though his hand covered his mouth, we have a doubleheader tomorrow. Throw strikes.
Did he say please at the end?
Here's Jed Lowry. 2 hits, both doubles for Lowry, 2 for 3. And there's a strike. Lowry now with 20 doubles, moving ahead of Corey Dickerson in the doubles department. One and one. Big home run night for the Rays. Up to 97. Five home runs in this game. We mentioned they had 6 most recently in 2009 against the Yankees. The other 2 times they had as many as 6 came in 02 and 06 against Kansas City. Well, after a first pitch strike, Garton has missed on the next 2, and it's 2-1.
You got your outfit all set up for tomorrow?
Such as it is. I know you do, right?
Perhaps.
Hopper. Short left. Beckham is out from shortstop, and on that infield pop, he takes care of the formality. That's the first out.
I've been kind of vacillating back and forth on what I want to go with.
Have you?
Yeah, I have. I was all locked in.
Yep.
On one particular get-up.
Yeah, my sources told me that you were locked in. I thought it was a done deal.
No, yeah, and then the creative side of me, which isn't that much, got involved today. And
oh, it could be even more than what we talked about?
Yeah, but it's probably not going to be. It's probably not going to be. But yeah, there were some thoughts that popped into the head today.
Wow, big cut by Davis, strike one.
Well, here's the question,
that could be very interesting, because I thought what you originally had in store was it was a statement.
It's legitimate, though.
Yeah.
Like there's no antics involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, nothing off the.
You want to add antics?
Well, you know, there's 70s, just 70s legit, and then there's 70s off the charts.
Yeah.
You know, like way too groovy 70s. And so I thought about taking it to there, but I think I'm going to play it, you know, man on the street style.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. I think I'm going to be understated.
You are? No, you're not.
Sure.
I don't think that you are. I'm not sure, but I mean, we'll find out tomorrow.
Okay.
Now, but are you doing it just game one, or are you doing both games?
Davis out on strikes here. Well, I heard that we were only going to do it on game one.
Right, but I'm thinking to myself.
Oh, we're going to do it on both games
now? We kind of have to, because I'm not bringing a change of clothes. I'm not bringing a change of clothes.
I'll tell you.
For an open that we're going to be on the air for a good 30, 40 seconds tops.
See, I'm confused. A lot of things have shifted and changed in this.
Yeah.
You know, I thought we had the okay to do this for the first game, but now I'm hearing that it's changed.
Dwayne, when has anything ever been locked in? Lots of emails, lots of justification of jobs.
Yeah.
All that stuff happens, and it goes right up until the 11th hour.
Gotcha.
All the time.
Yeah. See, this has been a confusing homestand, coming off that long road trip and the long trip back and getting everything done. Rosales takes a pitch up. It's 1-1. So tomorrow we're just going to leave no stone unturned.
Nope.
We're going for it tomorrow.
We're going for it.
Okay.
We've been hyping this for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? The doubleheader.
Yep.
Traditional doubleheader. So show and go.
A little looper down the left side for a base hit. Rosales has driven in a run. Davis scores. It's going to be a double with Joyce going to third and Rosales with a 2-base hit. Second run given up by Garten, and it's now a 13-3 game. So these walks coming back to hurt Garten. And now it's Healy, Ryan Healy, who's now playing first base. Want to know the strategic end of this from the Rays' point of view with this big lead is to get it over with the doubleheader looming, and to do it on as few pitches as possible with 2 games and then a quick turnaround for the Sunday afternoon game. Not quite working out yet. 1-1. On the other hand, you see there's the bullpen for the Rays, and you'd like to end this one and start fresh tomorrow for the doubleheader. And really, under the circumstances, things have to this point worked out pretty well for Oakland. Their starter was knocked out in the 4th inning. He made 88 pitches, and Zach Neal has given them 66 pitches to save their pitching staff. They've made 154 pitches through 7 innings tonight. Those 2 Oakland pitchers.
Well, we talked about it early on when Triggs came out and walked Alex Smith early.
Yeah, that's a strikeout, and a run is going to score. Joyce comes home. Over to third goes Rosales, and Healy reaches. Wild pitch, allowing the run to score and the batter to reach. It was getting sloppier than the Rays would like to see it. Now Stephen Vogt. Tapper fouled, strike 1. Vogt homered in the 7th. That was against Garten. Given up 3 runs now and has been on the corners. 2 outs in the inning. One and one. All right, one other question on the get up for tomorrow.
Yeah.
You wearing it to the ballpark in public?
Oh, absolutely.
Really? Okay.
Oh, yeah. That's the only way to do it. If you're going to do it right. Wear it out and about. I'm going to stop and get a cup of Joe on the way in.
It's 1 and 2.
Yep. That's happening.
What else is happening is Danny Farquhar is now up in the Rays bullpen. They really didn't want to see this.
No, not at all. Not at all. This has gotten ugly here late, no question.
Two balls, 2 strikes. The count is full on Stephen Vogt. So this has turned into 30 pitches. He's broken even in the ball and strikes delivered. Three-two. Fouls it out of play. Three-two again, another foul ball. Pender is on deck. Fly ball, center field. Borges is there to make the catch. Top of the 8th finally concludes, and the Rays have a 13-4 lead.
Coming up right after tonight's game, we have our post-game show presented by WB Mason. You'll hear from Rays manager Kevin Cash, as well as interviews in the clubhouse, and we will have an interview on the field. Hey, by the way, Dwayne and BA, I'm dressing up too, you guys.
We can't wait to see that.
I think everybody is, right?
Thank you very much.
We've gotten a sneak peek at Alex's getup.
Really?
Yeah, she's already bypassed anything that we've thought of. There's no doubt.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Hey, so
not surprised.
Women's hair back then, though, was it straight or wavy? The big hair.
Yeah, wavy. Just Google. What was the famous poster?
Farrah Fawcett.
Farrah Fawcett. And Google the Farrah Fawcett poster and then have at it.
Love getting fashion advice from BA.
Yep. A poster that I was not allowed to own.
Yeah, and hair advice on top of that.
Well, listen, Dwayne, there was a time. I have proof there was a time.
Michael Martinez, and he hits a bullet right down to Healy at first.
See, I've become such a connoisseur and a fan of hair. I know what you got to go with. Taking an interest in it because I don't have it. So I appreciate everybody else's, including Michael Martinez.
Gotcha, yeah. Hey, that's the variety of life that makes it so interesting.
Rays debut, Dwayne.
Taylor Featherston up here in at first base, and now his first at bat.
Levi Valley. Don't they have the sweet nickname? Aren't they like the Iron Pigs?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
another great minor league mascot.
Yep. He was hitting around 270 at Lehigh Valley.
Well, not mascot, but nickname. Yeah, Iron Pigs.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
Zach Deal on the hill for Oakland. Little popper, shallow left, and Brugman comes in making the catch. So with 2 outs, the bases are empty for Steven Souza Jr., who is a double away from the cycle. He had a 3-run home run in the first to open the scoring. Singled and scored the next time up. That came in the 3rd inning. And then in the 4th, hit what appeared to be a ball on the route to being a home run. We think it hit the roof here and came down and was playable. And so that's how he's explaining it as well. It's a home run. Takes a big cut there and misses.
The new rules, the addendum that we threw on, he's absolutely right.
Yep. So it went officially as a triple. Then he had that long at bat in the 5th. Grounded out to 3rd on a ball that pulled just a little bit more. Could have been a double. 1 strike the count on him here in the bottom of the 8th. Pops it up. Right side. Lowry into shallow right. Makes the catch. And that retires the side. We're going to go into the 9th. 13-4 Tampa Bay. Well, a big offensive night for the Rays, led by Steven Souza Jr. among others. Souza with 3 runs batted in, Dickerson a homer and 3 runs batted in. Souza homered, Malik Smith homered, Logan Morrison homered, Tim Beckham homered, and Corey Dickerson homered. And we go to the 9th. Danny Farquhar will make his 31st appearance with a record of 2-2. So Garton goes 2 innings, gives up 3 runs. And Chad Pinder will open the 9th against Farquhar. Pitch is a strike. Pinder 1 for 3, a couple strikeouts after an opening single. 0-2 the count. Pop foul, back and out of play. Rays started this game at the 500 mark for the 18th time this year. You cover 62 games, and in that time they've been at 500 18 times. 31 and 31 coming in, and there's a swing and a miss. They're 2 outs away from going over 500. Jacob Brugman. Doubleheader fun tomorrow. Back-to-back games. The old traditional doubleheader, and our coverage begins at 1:30 tomorrow. Brugman takes a strike. Brugman making his major league debut tonight in the Oakland lineup. Quickly down in the count. 9 strikeouts for Rays pitching. 5 for Cobb, 3 for Garten. Farquhar getting Pinder, and now ahead in the count to Brugman. And that takes care of Brugman. Back-to-back strikeouts, and the Rays hit 10 strikeouts for their staff tonight. So the bases are empty with 2 gone. Davis taking the pitch down. Two balls, no strikes, the count. It's a foul right back. Two and one to count. A little low, just missing the zone. 3 and 1. Takes the count full. And ball 4 inside. Davis on base for the second time, drawing a walk.
Number 23, Matt Joyce.
So now Matt Joyce. Joyce 0 for 3 with a walk. He lifts a pop fly short right. Martinez out, and he makes the catch over the shoulder in front of Susan Jr. to put an end to this one as the Rays take game 1 of the 4-game series. It's a 13-4 final. Alex Cobb will even his record at 5-5. Andrew Triggs, the losing pitcher, he is 5-6. 3 hours and 16 minutes to play this game as the Rays hit 5 home runs and go to 32 and 31 on the regular season.
A nifty little play here to end it. After the 2-out walk, a quick swing, Martinez over the shoulder. Danny Farquhar says touchdown. Almost missed an extra point, but put 13 on the board.
So it's a win for the Rays tonight. Doubleheader tomorrow. Our coverage begins at 1:30 for Brian Anderson and Alex Cordry and Dwayne Stats. Hope you've enjoyed the telecast. Rays Live, the postgame presented by Czech, comes your way next.